Hey, Ron, welcome to the call.
Sandra from
And
Texas.
Ron Snyder.
Hi, Ron, welcome to the call. Hi, Sandra, welcome.
Thank you.
And Sandra, we have not forgot about you in terms of the recorded number. So we are working with that, just working on that. Give us a little bit more time. We're working on a solution that gives us the ability to, to not only get the last recording, but also any specific recording. So that's coming soon.
Perfect.
All right.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate
You're
it.
welcome. No problem. Welcome to the call.
Thank you.
All right. Who else has joined us?
Shelley from Colorado.
Hi, Shelley. Welcome.
Thank you.
You are welcome.
Hey Dover, James from Sydney. How are you, my friend?
James from Sydney. Welcome, brother. I am doing so well. How are you, my friend?
Yeah, I'm pretty good. How are things over there with you?
Oh, wow, man. Things are really good. Things are really good. We're in a crazy time in this world. All of us can relate to, but all things considered, hey, we're on the call with each other tonight and we're going to get educated and life is good.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. It's always good to get some inspiration from the call, eh?
Yeah, that I like to take, look at it as a little dose, a little shot in the arm of some wisdom, some knowledge, some understanding from yours truly, Mr. Ron Schneider. So, James, I appreciate you reaching out there and saying hello. Welcome. I see we have Steve and Michael Wu. Welcome to the call. And anyone else, if I have not had the opportunity to say hello, welcome. And this is the Enriching Gifts International call. And we have our guest online, Mr. Ron Schneider. And I can go on and on and on about Ron, but as you see on the website, enriching-gifts.com, there's an extensive background on Ron. And I say extensive, it's really not that extensive. It's just, most people's attention span, including mine. So I'm talking to myself, we don't hang on for a long time. So Ron has the Cliff Notes version on the website. But I would tell you that this is just a fraction of really who this man is. So he's here each and every week to share with us, to educate us on the benefits of staying healthy and promoting, wellness and preventing disease and illness by strengthening our immune system. So with that being said, Ron, I want to welcome you to the call. And man, how are you doing?
Doing good. Trying to stay away from the negativity on all the TV news and stuff. But we did go to Costco yesterday, in fact, and I walked into about 4 of my favorite stores up in Billings, and our restaurant is closed. Actually went out of business. And Costco, we went in there specifically to stock up on some Cottonelle big bulk item toilet paper, and they're completely out. So remember when I told you guys about 2-3 weeks ago, start stocking up on your toilet paper and paper towels? I'm being dead serious, because we went up there yesterday and there isn't anything anywhere in the whole store. And they said because of this container shortage, they're looking at probably January to February before they get any in. There won't be any in for months. So that was quite the sticker and the shocker. And it's really becoming a problem. But on a positive note, with all the shortages and containers and a container used to go and rent those for $2,500, and now they cost you over $25,000 to $45,000 just to ship stuff. So, and then the post office, they just had a raise in prices 2 days ago, went up on Monday. So they had another price increase. And so with all the negative stuff, and I mean, it's easy to get down in gloom and doom, but I spent some time going through paperwork and researching and came across a couple of little tidbits that I'm going to share with you guys tonight about intracellular health. And the last thing I want to say about an update is that we did get our aloe, we did get our coral in last week, and we have some good news about all of the enzymes and the other stuff left to come in finally, we've actually cut a week and a half, almost 10 days off of our delivery time. So now instead of going into late November for all of our products and the daily detox on December the 4th, it's looking like we'll probably get our products in early to mid-November. So I was really happy to hear that. So that's a plus. We're going in the right direction anyway. So is there anything else you wanted to highlight or go over, Dober, real quick before we start going into my presentation for this evening?
No, I
Nope.
thank you for the update, and I'm glad about the detox and the good news you just shared with us. So thank you.
Well, that's enzymes. That's all of them. Everything's on schedule now to come in about a week to 10 days earlier than we had projected last week. So that's real positive. All right. Well, I was, like I said, I don't like to get dwelling on this gloom and doom and watching TV constantly and all that crud. So I took about 3 days off this last week and was cleaning up my office and paperwork and going through my old boxes and a lot of that old stuff. And I kind of ran across something that I don't think I ever shared with any of you guys. And it goes all the way back to our amino acid study at the Dr. Atifa Wad at the University of Rhode Island Medical Center. And it talked about intracellular health. When we got our amino acids, how much is being absorbed from the digestive system once you've consumed your foods, you break down your proteins, how much of that is actually being realized at the cellular level. And anybody that knows anything about nutrition today, you don't talk about assimilation, you talk about cellular level nutrition and assimilation at the cellular level, not just absorption into the blood and through the GI tract. And I was reading through some really neat stuff. Hadn't looked at this stuff in, Jiminy Christmas, 15, 18 years. And I want to talk a little bit about intracellular health because it really kind of came smacking down to me again. You know, we talk about how you can consume a meal and your body can only absorb about 18 to 22 grams in any given hour to 2 hour period of time. Now, 28 grams is 1 ounce. So I want you to put that in perspective. You're consuming anywhere between 4 and 10 ounces of meat or protein or food into your daily diet. And yet you're absorbing less than an ounce every 2 hours at the bloodstream level. Then, depending on how well you digested that, and food has to be down to about 2 to 3 microns, which is about 1/3 the size of a human red blood cell, in order to interact with the receptors around the cell membrane. And that's a big misconception. Everybody thinks that all this nutrition is absorbed into the actual cell itself. Well, your cell resuscitates waste. It pushes out waste from cellular metabolism. But most of the actual metabolism process goes on the alpha and beta receptors along the cell membrane. There's really not a whole lot of anything that actually gets inside of the human cell. And unfortunately, the stuff that does get in is like viruses and really, really bad bacteria, anaerobic material, toxic metals, things like that. And that's how a cell can become cancerous or DNA damaged and on and on and on. But I just wanted to go back and just kind of highlight the benefits of the digestive enzymes. Is they not only increase your absorption of nutrients from your meal source into your bloodstream and at the cellular level, but depending upon how efficient your body produces its own digestive enzymes is one of the biggest reasons why we deteriorate in our years of living as well as our quality of life as we are alive. And we start to spiral into that degenerative or deteriorating process once we hit the age of about 35 to 37. And definitely by the time you're 38 to 42, because we already know through some of the studies that I was involved in and actually conducted myself, that the human body produces less than 50% of the enzymes for the digestive process at age 38 to 42 as it did at age 15. And so this whole thing about intracellular nutrition And I haven't heard anybody talk about it on TV or anything. It really surprises me. Everybody just keeps talking about, well, I promote this or I endorse that. And one of these commercials that I'm really focused on is this balance of nature. Because I already listened to it, and they cold press all their nutrition. So they're pretty much getting liquid, but they're getting any living enzymes, because pressure destroys enzymes, heat destroys enzymes. Oxidation will deteriorate as well as destroy enzymes. And so intracellular nutrition is really, really important. And I'm probably going to start talking about that a little bit more as we go. But I just wanted to kind of bring that up today, because it's really, that's what you want to be talking about, and that's what you want to be reading about. That's what you want to really get educated about and concerned with when you start talking about nutrition, regardless of whatever source it comes from, and how it's actually realized inside or at the cellular level. And there's just a big misconception that all of this, our body's cells absorb all these nutrients that get in the bloodstream. No, they really interact with the cell on the surface through your alpha and beta receptors. But there is an interaction there, so there is some cell metabolism or functioning, and that's where your waste is created from, that the cell resuscitates or exhales back into the bloodstream, and that's what your neutrophils and basophils do. And eosinophils clean all of that junk up and keep the bloodstream clean. That's part of your immunity function. So just wanted to kind of share that with everybody this evening. I really didn't want to talk about gloom and doom one more week. And I spent about 4 or 5 hours on that, just kind of reviewing everything. And it was really fascinating to see that there's so much, just like Dover said, I haven't updated my bio or anything in at least 10, 12, maybe even 15 years on the internet. I just have so much that I can disclose prior to those years. But it was just kind of interesting to see just all this kind of information that I haven't even disclosed or don't talk about hardly at all. So I just wanted to share that with everybody tonight. Because like I said, I don't know of anybody out there that's talking about intracellular nutrition. And that's really what you want to be talking about, not absorption and that kind of stuff. Because you can absorb a lot of toxicities, you can absorb chemicals, you can absorb anything. But that doesn't mean it's going to be beneficial to you and the bodily function. You can absorb toxins, and we all know what toxins do. So I just wanted to kind of share that with everybody. And then if anybody has any specific health questions or health-related questions, then go ahead and feel free to do so. I didn't have much of another topic other than that for tonight, but I'm definitely going to get back to a topic subject conference call each and every week as we start to go forward. So, but that's all I have for tonight. So if anybody has any questions, just please go ahead and ask. No.
Yeah, Ron,
Dover, are you there? Yeah, go ahead.
Ron, this is Shelley from Colorado, and I have a question about, you were saying that heat and like press, any kind of pressure and stuff like that will kill enzymes. How does yours differ? How do you keep the enzymes alive in your process?
Well, we don't ever extract with pressure.
Okay.
And all we do is simply grow the enzymes on a medium. There's lots of different mediums we grow enzymes on. All of it's natural, like rice and so on and so forth. And then what you do is you just simply pull them from the source they've been grown on, and then you just simply dehydrate them, which means you take away the water.
Mm-hmm.
And that way you preserve, it's like a tree or a plant. You can see a plant start to wilt, and I mean, it'll actually almost die, like our grass every year. We don't take away the water. What happens is the water crystallizes because the temperatures go below freezing. And that's why the leaves fall off the trees. That's why the trees turn from a brown to kind of a gray in the wintertime. You'll see the pine trees, they go from a nice bright green to kind of a dark, dingy gray green. And that's all because there's no water. because the water is being frozen. So there is no chemical water. So enzymes don't function. All enzymes on the planet that we know of are hydrolytic or water activated. So all we do is simply just take away the moisture. We dehydrate them. And we do this by blowing them through a big, long, deep shaft. Shaft is about 60 feet, and it's a multi-chamber. And all you do is just keep blowing, and the humidity in that entire chamber is less than 7%. Most times we can get it down to about 3 to 4%, which the standard industry of dietary supplement manufacturing is 45% to as high as 60, 70%, depending on which coast on the east or west coast your manufacturing facility's at. And then you can also heat the room, and that actually will dry out the air as well. And everybody that lives up north, Colorado, Montana, Wyoming, Minnesota, Wisconsin, anybody that has to turn their thermostat up because of the cold tempers outside, the more and more you take that fire from your furnace and expose it to the air, it's going to dry out the air too. And there's a little secret that we have, and this is part of the manufacturing equipment. We could actually dry that out too with a low temperature heat. And I'm talking 65, 75 degrees. You can dry out air pretty good, but the whole key to drying out the air is movement. And so that's the way we're able to work with my enzyme as well as all my nutrition. We don't use heat. We don't use chemical extraction. We don't use pressure and extruding methods and things like that in anything that I do or any of our suppliers. I learned a long time ago, this is what nature has. Now, how do we stabilize it? That's the first thing. Forget about processing it to where we can get it small enough to where it's used intracellularly, like I was just talking about. But how do you stabilize it so it has the absolute most dense and the highest property of nutritional value? And you simply just dehydrate it. We don't really break it. It's like the sprouts in the glucosides from the sprouts. We don't grind up sprouts. We don't extrude all the liquids and this and that. No, you just simply dehydrate the sprouts. And the sprouts don't have a lot of fiber wall to them either. They're picked very, very young and early. We don't go to the full 7 to 9 days or 13 days. All of our sprouts are usually harvested within 3 to 5 days. They have very, very little fiber that you have to remove and very little moisture that you have to remove. And so we're always focused on doing the minimum that we have to deal with as far as processing and making a quality product that's beneficial for the human body. Less is better in 99.9% instances. When you start getting involved with these companies that give you these long, elaborate descriptions about how their products are so high quality because of this and this and this long, drawn-out process of processing, 9 times out of 10 you should start running because it's not that complex. It's not. Stabilization when it comes to enzymes and nutrition, that's the key, stabilization. So you have to first of all make sure that they're not exposed long-term to oxidation. Just exposure to air will deteriorate a lot of nutritional value. And then the other thing, like I said, you don't want to expose them to pressure or heat because both of those are very, very destructive to nutrients. So did that answer your
Thank
question?
you. Yeah, it did. It really did.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Well, you're very welcome. I mean, there's things you can do to increase absorption, like chelate them to amino acids, which the body immediately recognizes. So it's very easy to absorb. And that's why every drug, I don't know if you all know this, I think I've talked about this before, but there's not a drug anywhere in the world or on the market that doesn't have a natural nutrient chelated or attached to that actual synthetic chemical that they patent as a drug. That's the way the body will absorb it. If you just put the chemical in your body would tremendously fight and restrict that nutrient or that drug from being absorbed. So all drugs are chelated and attached usually with some kind of an amino acid. And that improves the absorption from the actual tablet or capsule or powder liquid source into the actual bloodstream by hundreds, if not thousands of a percent. Like I said, it's almost, your body would be almost impossible to absorb an actual chemical without some kind of an amino acid or nutrient attached. So, anybody else have any questions? Anybody? No?
This is Ronnie.
Okay. Hey, Ronnie.
Hey, one question. I take CoQ10 in addition to your products for energy, especially when I'm working out with weights or something. So where is CoQ10? What is that, and where does it come from? I don't quite understand.
It's called coenzyme Q10. It's a vitamin-like substance. It's more of a vitamin than it is anything else. And coenzyme Q10, hence the word coenzyme. The actual Q10 part of it is known to activate at least 10 different enzymes that in order to utilize coenzyme Q10. There's 10 enzymes that have to be activated in order to utilize coenzyme Q10. And most of those are found in the heart or along the coronary system. But coenzyme Q10 is just more like a vitamin. It's called coenzyme Q10 because there's 10 cofactor enzymes involved in the process of not only utilizing it, but absorbing it. So that's what coenzyme Q10 is. And even if you go to a Webster's dictionary, something like that, look up the description of it, it'll talk about coenzyme processing. But yeah, it's more like a vitamin, more like just a regular nutrient. It's very beneficial for the heart and brain function.
So is that why it's
giving
it gives you energy?
It has antioxidant properties to it. So you're able to maximize oxygenation rather than have a whole bunch of free radicals created by a poorly used oxygen. It does improve, and that's one of the things about coenzyme Q10. It does have antioxidant properties to it as well. And that's where you get your energy from. Because you have increased use of oxygen because of protected red blood cells, protected heart. Like I said, it's really good for the heart, both vascular, which means you're able to pump harder with less stress and damage to the heart. So, yeah.
Okay.
But
thank you.
It is an essential nutrient for coronary care and for oxygenation, things like that. But it does have antioxidant values as well. And that's a lot of that's where you get your energy from and stuff like that.
And as you get older, should you take more of it?
Well, here's the thing. You've all heard of statin drugs, right? Like Lipitor, Zocor, Crestor, all of the old version. And they got a whole bunch of new statin drugs, too. They keep changing the name about every 5 years because the lawsuits catch up with them in about that time frame once it hits the market to about 5 to 7 years later, before you're getting sued out the rear end because of all the side effects and deaths and complications all these drugs cause. Doggone it, I lost my train of thought. What did you just ask me now?
I ask you, should you increase your dosage as you get older?
Oh, as we get older. No, not necessarily. But there are circumstances and times when you definitely would want to increase your coenzyme Q10, like Lipitor. All statin drugs lower your normal coenzyme Q10 levels. And your body produces coenzyme Q10. I don't know if a lot of you guys know this or not. It's produced in the intestinal system. But as you get older, and when I say older, once you get above 22, 25 years of age, then it becomes necessary to start supplementing with coenzyme Q10. And make sure you get a good quality coenzyme Q10, because there's so much junk on the market that everybody looks at the milligrams. Well, we have 100 milligrams, we have 500 milligrams, we have a 250 milligram, we have 50 milligrams, whatever it is. And nobody talks about standardization, purity, potency, and quality. Very little coenzyme Q10 is created equal. Over 90% of it on the marketplace is just totally worthless. The color's not even right. Really good quality coenzyme Q10 is a bright orangish yellow, and that's as high a quality as you can get. And it is really, really expensive when you start talking about standardized coenzyme Q10 versus a regular coenzyme Q10 extraction, just a regular extract. I mean, there's about an 8-to-1 price difference. So if you're buying coenzyme Q10 and it's costing you $1,000, you go talking about getting standardized coenzyme Q10, you're easily paying $7,800 to probably $10,000 for the exact same thing. As far as ounces or grams or even kilos for the exact same ingredient. But what a difference in quality. And like I said, after the age of about 25, you definitely should start supplementing because that's when your body starts to produce more and more LDL cholesterol to try to reduce and absorb all the oxidation stress that the human body produces as its use of oxygen every day to just live your natural daily life. And that's probably the best reason why you'd want to supplement with coenzyme Q10.
So Ron, I read a lot about the CoQ10 versus ubiquinol. I mean, what is it better to take the ubiquinol or what's the difference in those?
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know a whole lot about ubiquinol. All I know is the body makes coenzyme Q10. That's what your body needs. That's what your heart needs. Your brain needs it. So I'm just going to stick with the coenzyme Q10 part of it.
Okay.
I'd have to look up and research the other part of that a little bit.
Yeah, I know they try to push that, and it's a lot higher than the CoQ10. And from what I've read, it has to convert to ubiquinol before you can absorb it or something. I'm not sure.
Well, but that's what I was going to say. With you start getting into all of those other kind of ingredients, there's a whole conversion process that has to occur. Now try to do that at age 50. Go ahead and try it. It's not going to work. And that's just like this Travis Stork from the doctors endorsing Qunol. And he's always endorsing something for that company. And it absorbs better, does this. Really? Well, let me just ask you, what study did you use to determine that? Because 99% of the time, that's not true. If you do it in a younger person, there might be a little bit there, depending on what you chelate and how it's actually formulated. When you start talking about somebody over the age of 35, 40 years old, unless they're taking a digestive enzyme, there is no way you could actually make that statement, tell the truth with a straight face. There just is no way. Because the human body deteriorates in its ability to digest. And when it does that, your whole entire nutritional profile of the human body is severely compromised. And I don't care what planet you come from, what planet or part of this planet you live in, that's just a general fact worldwide. So without the enzymes, nothing's going to change much. And you can't even talk about absorption and improvements and compare this label to that label. None of it works. It's all going to be compromised tremendously. And that's why I said, before I start taking supplements and looking at all this other stuff, I'm going to be taking a digestive enzyme every single meal or with every single thing I take, because I'm 65, 66 now and almost 67. So I'm going to be, I was compromised decades ago. And I know when I'm out of enzymes, when I don't take my enzymes, I can feel it. Bowel movement slow down, the belly starts to bloat, you get all this gurgling and gassiness and this and that, and I can take probiotics and enzymes, and literally in 10 minutes, poof, it's all gone, back to normal. So I just try to stick with the basics, I guess, what I'm telling you, Ronnie.
Yes, sir. Okay.
First things first. Yeah.
Well, very good. So, and if you're about 67, well, you look pretty good for 67. I didn't know you were quite that old.
Yeah, I'm getting there.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Anybody else have any comments, questions? Anybody?
Hey,
Anybody
Ron,
else? Yeah.
Ron,
Yeah.
I wanted to check and see how your sister's doing.
Well, I got a little bit of bad news this morning. In fact, actually, it was this afternoon about 2:00. my brother called and they said that she had to go back on a ventilator. Now they're going to put a trach tube in, so it doesn't deteriorate her esophagus too much and stuff. But yeah, she's basically on life support. She kind of took a turn yesterday pretty bad, I guess, and now about 95% of her oxygen's coming from a machine, and she has less than 5% breathing capability. So it doesn't look good.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, me too. And you know, she's one of the people that I don't think it'll be real soon, but she's one of the people that I'll use as an example. She never did believe much in what I do as for my diet and the natural products and this and that. And she's just kind of the perfect example of what most people on this planet are doing to themselves. And you're going to pay the consequences at a very early age and in a very early stage in your life if you choose to ignore how the body works, what the body needs, what's the actual facts of everything. And I could never get to doing a decent diet. And she was a fast food person, and she was on disability and severely overweight and a diabetic. And I mean, it goes on and on and on and on. But I can never do to get her to even talk to me about stuff that I do or to even improve her health. She just never wanted to hear it the few times I attempted. So, but I appreciate you asking. I do. Anybody else have any questions, comments for the call? Anybody? If not, I guess we can wrap it up for tonight. And like I said, moving forward, I'm going to get a lot more involved in topic-specific calls for each and every week. They'll probably only be 15, 20, 25 minutes, and then we'll have some time for questioning. But we're definitely going to be getting more structured and more functionality on these calls going forward. So that's all I had for tonight, Dover. If everybody's done with questions and comments.
All right. Great call as always, Ron. Thank you so much. And thank you those that asked questions. We appreciate that.
Yeah.
Have a great night, and we'll be back next week. Take care, everybody.
All right. Have a great night, everybody.